What if the future we were promised is a lie? We've been sold a dazzling vision, a world of seamless efficiency, where intelligent machines handle every tedious task, freeing humanity to pursue higher goals. We see it in headlines, in Super Bowl commercials, and in the breathless pronouncements of tech billionaires. It's the story of the artificial intelligence revolution, an unstoppable force destined to remake our world. But behind the curtain of this grand spectacle, a very different story is unfolding. It's a story of failure, regret, and a dawning, uncomfortable truth. Our mad dash into the arms of AI might be one of the most expensive and misguided adventures in modern history. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and expose the great AI deception. We begin in the heart of what can only be described as a global frenzy, the AI gold rush. For the last several years, the world's most powerful corporations have been engaged in a frantic, high-stakes race. Giants like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Tesla have been pouring billions of dollars into automation, driven by a simple, seductive promise. Replace expensive, unpredictable humans with cheap, efficient algorithms. The narrative, spun by consulting firms and tech evangelists, was intoxicating. They claimed AI would unlock unprecedented productivity / operational costs and create a new paradigm of corporate perfection. This wasn't just a quiet internal shift. It was a public declaration of a new era. We saw self-checkout lanes multiply, customer service chats taken over by bots, and even creative jobs outsourced to generative AI. On the surface, it looked like the revolution was succeeding. These companies, paragons of innovation, were leading the charge into a brave new world, and investors were rewarding them handsomely for it. The message was clear: automate or be left behind. It felt like a digital stampede, with every executive afraid of being the last one to stake their claim in the new territory of artificial intelligence. But, while the hype machine was running at full throttle, researchers at institutions like MIT were looking at the data, and what they found was staggering. Far from a universal success, their studies revealed a sobering reality. Only a tiny fraction of corporate AI projects, somewhere between 5 to 7%, were actually delivering any real, measurable value. Let that sink in. For every 100 companies investing fortunes to chase this AI dream, 95 of them were effectively lighting that money on fire. They were building systems that didn't work, deploying bots that frustrated customers, and creating algorithms that produced nonsensical results. The gold mines, it turned out, were mostly empty. The gold rush was producing a lot of noise, a lot of digging, and a lot of broken shovels, but precious little gold. This massive chasm between the public perception of an AI-powered utopia and the private reality of widespread failure is the starting point of our story. The fallout from this failed gold rush didn't stay behind closed boardroom doors for long. Soon, the consequences began spilling out into the real world, creating chaos for businesses and customers alike. It turns out that when you fire your human workforce and replace them with half-baked technology, the results can be both disastrous and darkly comedic. In fact, a stunning survey revealed that more than half of all companies that had replaced human employees with AI were now admitting they deeply regretted it. This wasn't just a minor hiccup. It was buyer's remorse on a corporate scale. Nowhere was this more visible than in the fast food industry. McDonald's, a global icon of efficiency, rolled out AI-powered voice ordering systems in its drive-thrus. The promise was faster service and perfect accuracy. The reality was a viral sensation for all the wrong reasons. Customers began posting videos of their bizarre orders. AI bots adding hundreds of dollars worth of chicken nuggets to a single meal, mistaking ice cream for ketchup, or adding bacon to a water order. The systems, unable to parse different accents, background noise, or simple human hesitation, descended into absurdity. It was frustrating for customers, and a nightmare for the human employees who had to constantly intervene, apologize, and fix the machine's mistakes. Taco Bell experienced similar fiascos. Their much-hyped AI systems led to operational gridlock and customer fury. What was intended to be a futuristic convenience became a public relations disaster. The backlash was swift and brutal. Across social media, a narrative took hold. These companies, in their quest to save a few dollars on labor, had destroyed the customer experience. Faced with mounting frustration and ridicule, several of these companies had to make a humiliating retreat, pulling the plug on their multi-million-dollar automation experiments and bringing human workers back to the drive-through windows. It was a powerful public lesson. The real world is far messier and more complex than the clean, predictable datasets on which these AI systems are trained. The story of the financial tech firm Klarna serves as a chilling case study in what happens when this ideology of over-automation is taken to its extreme. For years, Klarna, like many modern tech companies, was celebrated for its sleek, user-friendly interface and robust customer support. That support was provided by thousands of human agents who could navigate complex financial situations with empathy and intelligence. But then, the siren song of AI grew too loud to ignore. Captivated by the promise of radical efficiency, the company's leadership made a drastic decision. They would go all in on AI. In a move that shocked the industry, Klarna laid off thousands of its support staff, replacing them with a sophisticated chatbot. On paper, the numbers must have looked fantastic. The immense cost of human salaries, benefits, and training was wiped from the balance sheet overnight. The company publicly praised its new AI system, boasting that it was doing the work of hundreds of agents. But then, the real-world results started to pour in, and they painted a horrifying picture. Customers who once praised Klarna's support now found themselves trapped in endless loops with a chatbot that couldn't understand their problems. Simple issues that a human could resolve in minutes now took days of frustrating, circular conversations. Account disputes, questions about payments, and cries for help were met with pre-programmed responses that were often irrelevant or incorrect. Customer satisfaction plummeted. Trust, the most valuable currency for any financial institution, began to erode. Internally, the system was failing too. The remaining human staff were overwhelmed, forced to clean up the messes created by the AI, while dealing with an onslaught of furious customers. Performance metrics, which were supposed to skyrocket, began to decline. The company was slower, less effective, and its reputation was taking a beating. Within a year of their bold move, the leadership had to face the music. They publicly reversed course, admitting that their pivot to AI had been a grave mistake. They began rehiring human staff, acknowledging that for issues of finance, trust, and complex problem-solving, the human touch wasn't a luxury. It was an absolute necessity. The human cost of their experiment wasn't just measured in the thousands of jobs lost, but in the near destruction of the customer relationships they had spent years building. The failures of automation weren't confined to customer service and logistics. The AI revolution was also supposed to transform creative and knowledge-based industries. It promised to write our articles, teach our children, and produce our art. But here too, the gap between the marketing hype and the flawed reality became painfully obvious, leading to a backlash that exposed the profound limitations of the technology. Consider Duolingo, the popular language learning app used by millions. In its quest for efficiency, the company laid off a significant number of its human translators and linguists, shifting the work of creating lessons to AI. The result was a noticeable drop in quality. Users began to complain about translations that were grammatically incorrect, nonsensical, or lacking the cultural nuance that is essential to learning a language. The AI, trained on vast but uncurated datasets, couldn't distinguish between formal and informal speech, couldn't grasp idiomatic expressions, and often produced lessons that were sterile and uninspiring. The very soul of language, its context, its creativity, its human element, was lost in the algorithm. For a service whose entire purpose is education, these errors were not just minor bugs. They were fundamental failures of the core product. An even more embarrassing fiasco unfolded at the iconic magazine Sports Illustrated. The publication was caught publishing articles that were written by AI under fake author names with AI-generated headshots. The content was atrocious. It was bland, formulaic, and in some cases, riddled with factual errors. It read like a bad summary of other better articles. When this was exposed, the public reaction was visceral. Readers felt cheated and deceived. The brand's legacy, built over decades on the back of legendary sports writers and powerful human storytelling, was tarnished overnight. The scandal was a powerful reminder that creativity and journalism are not just about arranging words in a grammatically correct order. They are about perspective, voice, passion, and a deep understanding of the human condition, qualities that, at least for now, remain far beyond the reach of any large language model. In both cases, the organizations were forced to backtrack, suffering immense reputational damage and financial loss, learning the hard way that you cannot automate authenticity. So, if these AI projects are failing at such a high rate, why are companies still stampeding towards them? The answer lies not in the technology, but in the psychology of the stock market. We've entered the era of AI washing, a phenomenon where the mere mention of artificial intelligence has become a magic word for boosting a company's stock price. Here's how it works. A publicly traded company holds its quarterly earnings call with investors and analysts. The CEO, regardless of the company's actual technological capabilities, makes sure to sprinkle the term AI throughout their presentation. They'll talk about their AI-driven strategy, their investment in machine learning, or their new AI-powered platform. The content of these claims is often vague and unsubstantiated, but that doesn't matter. The algorithms that drive Wall Street trading and the human investors caught in the hype cycle pick up on the keyword. The company is immediately perceived as being innovative and forward-thinking. The result is an almost instantaneous and often significant short-term boost in their stock price. Analysts praise their vision, and the media reports on their cutting-edge approach. This creates a powerful and perverse incentive. The actual success of the AI implementation becomes secondary. The primary goal is to appear to be an AI-driven company to please investors. It's a grand performance, a form of corporate theater where buzzwords are more valuable than results. This is AI washing, exaggerating or fabricating AI capabilities to ride the wave of market hype. This creates a dangerous, self-perpetuating cycle. A company sees its competitor get a stock bump after an AI announcement. They feel immense pressure to do the same, lest they be seen as falling behind. So they rush to announce their own AI initiatives, often without a clear plan, a viable strategy, or even a problem that needs solving. The focus shifts from creating genuine value to managing perceptions. Billions of dollars are allocated not based on sound business logic, but on the need to feed the insatiable appetite of a market obsessed with the next big thing. The entire ecosystem becomes addicted to the hype, pushing companies to make reckless decisions that, as we've seen, often end in failure and regret. This pressure from Wall Street doesn't just stay in the realm of stock prices and earnings calls. It triggers a devastating domino effect that has profound consequences for the real economy and the lives of ordinary people. The first domino to fall is almost always the workforce. When a company wants to signal to investors that it is serious about its AI-driven efficiency, the quickest and most dramatic way to do so is by announcing mass layoffs. The logic is cold and calculated. Firing thousands of human workers and replacing them with a promised AI system sends a powerful message to shareholders. We are cutting costs. We are embracing the future. We are becoming a leaner, more profitable machine. The announcement itself often causes the stock to jump, rewarding the very decision that devastates so many lives. The company is celebrated for its boldness, even if the technology meant to replace those workers is nowhere near ready for prime time. The human cost is dismissed as a necessary, if unfortunate, byproduct of progress. The second domino is the massive, often reckless wave of spending. Fueled by the fear of missing out and the desire to project an image of innovation, public companies are now collectively pouring an almost unimaginable amount of money into the AI ecosystem. Analysts project that by 2027, spending on AI will exceed $1 trillion. This isn't careful strategic investment. It's a panicked capital expenditure spree. Companies are buying expensive hardware, signing massive contracts with AI vendors, and hiring high-priced consultants, all to chase the illusion of efficiency that the market demands. This creates the ultimate paradox. Companies are firing people to save money, only to spend even more money on technology that in 95% of cases fails to deliver a positive return. It's a hype-driven feedback loop, where the appearance of progress is more important than actual progress. The dominoes continue to fall, creating widespread job insecurity and funneling a historic amount of capital into a bubble of unprofitable projects, all while the fundamental business operations often get worse, not better. While the view from Wall Street might be rosy, inside the executive suites of these companies, a different sentiment is taking hold, a potent mix of confusion, anxiety, and regret. Recent surveys of C-suite leaders have pulled back the curtain on this uncertainty, revealing that many of the people driving this AI revolution don't fully understand it themselves. A significant number of executives openly admit that they lack a clear understanding of which roles within their organizations are even suitable for AI replacement. They are operating under a vague directive to integrate AI without a strategic blueprint for how to do it effectively. They hear the buzzwords, they feel the pressure from their board of directors, but they lack the technical and operational expertise to distinguish between a valuable application of AI and a costly gimmick. This leads to hasty, ill-conceived decisions, like the ones we saw at McDonald's and Klarna. Furthermore, a growing chorus of these leaders is expressing regret over the speed and scale of their recent layoffs. In the rush to please investors, they cut too deep, too fast, losing invaluable institutional knowledge, experience, and morale in the process. They are now facing the consequences: broken workflows, declining product quality, and an alienated workforce. The short-term stock boost has given way to the long-term pain of operational dysfunction. This anxiety at the top is trickling down and creating a crisis for the next generation of workers. As companies automate or eliminate entry-level positions in fields like data analysis, customer support, and even software testing, the traditional pathways into tech-heavy industries are disappearing. Young workers, fresh out of college and eager to start their careers, are facing a shrinking landscape of opportunities. The very jobs that once served as the training ground for future leaders are being handed over to algorithms. This creates a looming skills gap and a sense of profound uncertainty for a generation already grappling with economic instability. The leaders are confused, the workforce is anxious, and the pipeline of future talent is being squeezed, all because of a technology that is being implemented with more haste than wisdom. One of the most dangerous myths of the AI era is the idea of the infallible machine. We are told that computers don't get tired, they don't make emotional mistakes, and they execute their programming with perfect precision. But this utopian vision ignores a fundamental truth. AI systems, especially in their current form, are incredibly brittle. When they encounter a situation they weren't explicitly trained for, they don't adapt, they break. And when they break, the consequences can be catastrophic, paralyzing entire operations in an instant. A human worker on an assembly line who drops a tool can pick it up and continue. A customer service agent who doesn't understand a question can ask for clarification. Humans are masters of adaptation and improvisation. We navigate ambiguity and solve novel problems in real time. An AI system, on the other hand, is rigid. A misidentified part on a conveyor belt can shut down an entire factory. A buggy software update can bring a global logistics network to a screeching halt. The system's failure is total and instantaneous. The most famous example of this came from the heart of Silicon Valley itself: Tesla's robotic assembly lines. Elon Musk, a fervent evangelist for automation, tried to create a factory with almost no human workers, a so-called alien dreadnought. It was a spectacular failure. The hyper-complex robots couldn't handle the subtle variations in parts. They couldn't perform tasks that required fine motor skills and tactile feedback, and they were constantly breaking down in ways that baffled the engineers. The production of the Model 3 fell disastrously behind schedule. In a moment of humbling clarity, Musk himself admitted defeat, stating that excessive automation at Tesla was a mistake. To be precise, my mistake: humans are underrated. This lesson extends far beyond manufacturing. We've seen medical AI misidentify skin cancers, leading to potentially fatal misdiagnoses. We've seen hiring algorithms perpetuate and amplify human biases, illegally discriminating against candidates based on gender or race. In every one of these cases, the over-reliance on a brittle, imperfect automated system exposed a simple and profound truth. In a complex and unpredictable world, the adaptability, common sense, and resilience of human beings are not a bug, but a critical feature. The real price of a machine's failure is always paid by humans. Beyond the public relations nightmares and operational breakdowns, the rush to implement AI is creating a cascade of hidden financial burdens that many companies fail to anticipate. The promised cost savings from automation are often being swallowed whole by a host of new, unexpected expenses. First, there is the human element. In companies that have aggressively replaced workers with AI without proper human oversight, employee turnover among the remaining staff has skyrocketed. These employees are often left to deal with the fallout from the AI's mistakes. They become glorified janitors for the algorithm, cleaning up its messes, placating angry customers, and working under immense stress. Their jobs become less fulfilling and more frustrating, leading to burnout and a mass exodus of talent. The cost of continuously hiring and training new employees to fill these roles can quickly erase any savings from the initial layoffs. Second, the infrastructure demands are astronomical. The powerful AI models that companies are so eager to use require an incredible amount of computational power. This means investing in massive fleets of specialized computer chips, primarily graphics processing units, or GPUs. The soaring demand for these chips has caused their prices to skyrocket, creating a hugely expensive barrier to entry. But the cost doesn't stop there. These GPUs are housed in enormous data centers that consume energy on a scale that is difficult to comprehend. The surge in AI development is putting a severe strain on national power grids. In the United States alone, energy consumption from data centers is projected to rise by a staggering 4% nationwide, simply to power this AI boom. This has two effects. It dramatically increases a company's utility bills, and it creates an enormous and growing environmental footprint. The clean digital world of AI is powered by a very real, very resource-intensive physical infrastructure. When you add up the costs of higher employee turnover, exorbitant hardware prices, and ballooning energy bills, the economic case for reckless automation begins to fall apart. It's a hidden financial drain that is turning the promised efficiency of AI into a costly, unsustainable burden. While the headlines are filled with the spectacular failures of large corporations, a different, more hopeful story is quietly unfolding in the world of nimble, focused startups. These smaller companies, free from the immense pressure of Wall Street's hype cycle, are approaching AI in a fundamentally different way, and they are succeeding where the giants have stumbled. The key to their success is precision. Instead of trying to boil the ocean with a massive, all-encompassing AI strategy, these startups identify a single, specific, and painful problem within a business workflow. They don't try to replace an entire department overnight. Instead, they ask a simple question: where is the most friction, the most repetition, and the most inefficiency in our process? Maybe it's in sorting and categorizing sales leads. Maybe it's in transcribing meeting notes. Maybe it's in flagging routine anomalies in financial data. Once they've identified this narrow pain point, they don't try to build a revolutionary new AI model from scratch. That's a game only a handful of tech giants can afford to play. Instead, they collaborate with proven, established AI vendors who have already built reliable tools for these specific tasks. They act as smart integrators, not as mad scientists. They take an off-the-shelf solution and carefully weave it into their existing human-led process. This targeted and deliberate implementation yields immediate, measurable gains. The AI handles the one task it was designed for, and it does it well. This frees up human employees from the most monotonous parts of their job, allowing them to focus on higher-value activities that require critical thinking, creativity, and customer interaction. The return on investment is clear and easy to calculate because the scope of the project is contained. This approach, slow, strategic, and focused, is proof that the problem isn't the technology itself. AI can and does work when it is applied with wisdom and precision. These startups are providing the blueprint, demonstrating that the path to success isn't a frantic gold rush, but a careful and methodical process of integration. The success of these startups points to the most important lesson in this entire saga. The true power of AI lies not in replacing humans, but in augmenting them. The most successful and forward-thinking companies are not building factories without people. They are building tools that make their people better. This is the model of human-AI collaboration, and it represents the best of both worlds. A fantastic example of this is the software development company Unity. They use AI not to write code for their engineers, but to act as a hyper-intelligent assistant. The AI can instantly search through millions of lines of documentation, suggest solutions to common problems, and automate the tedious process of debugging. This doesn't put the human developer out of a job. It supercharges their abilities. It eliminates the drudgery and allows the developer to spend their time and brainpower on the creative and architectural challenges of building great software. Similarly, the industrial supplier Hisco successfully implemented AI in its warehouses. They didn't replace their human workers with robots. Instead, they gave them AI-powered tools that optimize picking routes, predict inventory needs, and flag potential errors before they happen. The result was a dramatic increase in efficiency and accuracy. But just as importantly, employee morale improved. The workers felt more empowered and less stressed, as the most frustrating parts of their job were now streamlined by their new digital partner. This model is a win-win. The company achieves greater efficiency and higher quality output. The employees are freed from repetitive labor, leading to higher job satisfaction and the opportunity to develop new, more valuable skills. And the customer benefits from better, faster, and more reliable service. This collaborative approach reframes the entire conversation. It's not about man versus machine, it's about man with machine. AI becomes a powerful tool in the human toolbox, like a calculator for a mathematician or a power saw for a carpenter. It enhances our skills, extends our reach, and allows us to achieve things that were previously impossible. This, not the empty promise of a jobless utopia, is the real, sustainable future of artificial intelligence. So, after this journey through the hype, the failures, and the quiet successes, what is the ultimate takeaway? It is this: AI isn't failing. We are. The technology itself, for all its flaws and limitations, is a remarkable achievement. The 95% failure rate we see in the corporate world is not an indictment of artificial intelligence. It is an indictment of our approach to it. The problem lies in a toxic cocktail of factors. It's the reckless, top-down rollout of unproven systems. It's the profound lack of strategic planning and the failure to understand the real-world complexities of the problems we're trying to solve. And, most significantly, it's the investor-driven hype that prioritizes the appearance of innovation over the creation of genuine value. We have allowed the narrative to be hijacked by a short-term, profit-obsessed mindset that has pushed companies into a cycle of foolish and destructive decisions. The true path forward is not to abandon this powerful technology, but to embrace it with wisdom, humility, and a deep respect for the irreplaceable value of human intelligence. It requires thoughtful integration, not blind replacement. It requires proper training, not just for the algorithms, but for the human employees who will work alongside them. And it requires a shift in focus from automation at all costs to a model of human-AI collaboration that elevates and empowers people. The problem isn't the tool, it's how we're choosing to wield it. We have been swinging a sledgehammer when what we need is a scalpel. The companies that understand this distinction, the ones that move slowly, think strategically, and always keep the human at the center of the equation, are the ones that will ultimately succeed. The great AI deception is the belief that technology alone is the answer. The truth is that technology is just a tool, and its ultimate value will always depend on the wisdom and humanity of the people who use it. So, I have to ask you, have you seen this happening in your own workplace or as a customer? Where do you see the line between helpful augmentation and frustrating over-automation? I'd love to hear your stories and your thoughts in the comments below. What are your biggest hopes and your biggest fears when it comes to the future of AI in our lives? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. I hope this has given you a new perspective on the headlines we see every day. And if you found this conversation valuable and want to keep exploring the truth behind the hype, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue to create content like this. We'll see you in the next one.